Okay, we're back. It's COMP305, Game Programming 1, and it's Week 5, Lesson 5, Part 3. And we're just stopped talking about how to get into from Scene 1 to Scene 2. So if we play this thing, again, this is where we're at. So here's my menu scene. I click on Start, it takes me to my play scene.
Yay.
Right?
Yay. Yay.
And now what I want to do is move from our main scene to our game over scene. Well, we don't have a game over scene. So, and it almost looks like our game start screen, almost exactly. The only difference is we're gonna have a different button and some different text, and maybe even a game, some kind of, our score, right? Which is gonna be our high score is gonna be shown here as well. So I got a couple things changed, but for the most part, it's almost identical. So what do I do? So I go back to scenes, right? Here's my scenes. And I click on menu this time, and I'm going to go Control or Command D to duplicate. So here's menu 1. I'm going to change the name here to Game Over, right? And what I want to do is I'm going to double click on Game Over. So it's now the scene that I'm on. I'm going to go to File, Build Settings, and I'm going to add Game Over as another build, another scene. So I'm going to say Add Current, which is going to add at the bottom. So this is what I got now. I got Menu, Main, and Game Over. Those are three scenes in a row. Remember that if I don't add them here, I can't get to them, right? All right, cool. So that's my Game Over scene. It looks identical. Let's make some changes to make it unique. So a couple things I want to do is change my menu controller, to a Game Over controller, Game Over controller, just to make it contextual, right? And my menu controller script is not the one I'm going to use, right? Because I'm going to use a Game Over controller. So I'm going to remove this component. That's one thing I need to move. I'm going to change my menu panel to a Game Over panel. Game Over panel, right? That's one thing I need to put in there for my UI. And here in my canvas, I have my mail pilot label. I'm going to have my Game Over label. So I'm just rename the Game Over label. And change my mail pilot text to Game Over. Game Over. There we go. And that's pretty big. 80 might be too big. Let me reduce that to 60. Right? So Game Over to 60. And my start button, I got to rename this thing to Restart button. Restart button. There it is. And it can't be my start button label. That's incorrect, my tag. Let me make a new tag for it. So some changes. Make a new tag called Restart button. And when I go back to my Restart button, I got to retag it to Restart. Make sure that my Game Over panel is still untagged. My canvas is untagged. My Game Over label, can't say mail pilot label. I got to make a new tag for that one. A new tag here called Game Over label, just so that way I can track it later on. So here's my Game Over label. I want to just pull down my Game Over label. There we are. Here's my Restart button, but it doesn't say Restart. My text says Start. So I need to change my text. Instead of Start, it needs to say Restart. Right? Restart. Okay, cool. So I got my Game Over and Restart. Let's leave it as is. Okay, cool. When I click my Restart button, I want it to go back to the main menu. It's almost identical to the other script I wrote, but I need another I need to put it in my Game Over controller. So let's add another script. And again, you might say, well, you already have a script that kind of does that. Couldn't you have used it? Yes, I could have. But I'm making another script for a reason, because we may have to add additional things here in my Game Over, my Restart, or my Game Over script that's different. So I'm going to add another script. Let's add it the traditional way. So I'm going to click on my Game Over controller and go Add Component, New Script. We're going to call this Game Over Controller. There we go. And I'm going to double click on my Game Over controller, but first I want to drag it into my scripts. So I'm going to double click on my Game Over controller. There we go. And in my Game Over controller, I want to add that same thing, but I'm going to call it a different name. I'm going to say public void, this is for practice, on Restart button, click. So on Restart button click, so it's different than the Start button click. Right now they're identical, but they may be different at some point. And I want to put in here on restart button click, I want to change this to, again, it's application.load level, right? And the name of my level, which is the same, main, capital M. All right, so when I go back to level, I do the same thing as I did when I went forward, right? So here's my main menu controller, and if you notice, my on start button click and my restart button click are the same. Okay, so just to do it again, I've got my restart button. It's got to point to the same thing, so I'm going to kind of drag my game over controller into there. And now my game over controller is the main controller for my button. I need to choose a function like I did before by going over to game over controller and choosing on restart button click. Good, now I've connected it. Let's try this out. Let's start this scene first. I can do that. I can start any scene I want. I can start my menu scene. I can start this scene. I want to start this scene to test it. So I'm going to just press play. And if you notice, all I'm going to get is the ocean like this, right? And a restart, right? Ocean and a restart. You know, there is something else I wanted to add in. I added it in for my other, the other group. I want to add in a you know, kind of a finishing thing like oh, or a no, 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 something like that. I don't have that audio component. Let's make it. How do I make that? I'm going to go into Audacity, right? So here's I have a program called Audacity. You can download it for free. If I go to online here and I look at Audacity, right? If I look to find, if I can spell it, Audacity. Come on, Tom. Audacity. If I go to Audacity download, that's what I want to find. And under SourceForge, I can download Audacity, right? It's a free download. If I click the download button, cross-platform for Linux and Mac and Windows. All right, and what does this Audacity thing do? Let's take a look. So I've got Audacity running, and I want to make a recording. So I want to do like that thing. Okay, so let's try this out. So ready? Okay, I did that recording. I'll stop, and I got extra stuff in there. I'm going to cut some stuff I don't want. Let's listen to it from the beginning. So I'm going to hear them at the beginning, and let's listen to it. And I keep talking, right? Okay, I did that recording. And now I want to chop stuff away from there, right? Like this piece that I don't want. So I'm going to chop this one off. And I'm going to chop this piece off of this part here, right? So I'll chop that part off, and I'll upload it to GitHub. Let's check this out and see how here it sounds now. Okay, kind of a weird sound. And let's just do some changes. What I want to do is I want to add an effect to it, right? So what the great thing about Audacity, it adds some built-in effects. I'm going to go to Effect, and in here I'm going to change the pitch, and I'm going to go from a very high pitch to a very low pitch. So go down here and let's preview it. All right, some weird thing. That's a little bit too low. Let's try that again. Okay, good. And then also, not only the pitch, but I also want to change the tempo, right? Let's change that. So I'm going to change that a little bit lower. So let's try that. That's too slow. You can see how I'm playing with the sound. All I'm trying out is I'm playing around with it. Right, so it's like, boo-ah, we lost, right? And then maybe we'll add in, we'll press OK for this. I'll modify this, the waveform again. And one more thing I might want to do is I can add in an echo, right? Let's add an echo in there, right? So I'd time delay of 2 seconds and preview. Didn't quite start. Let's go to 0.25 seconds and preview. Nah, I don't like it. Let's add a, this is what I'm saying, this is what stuff you can do. You can just fool around like this. And let's add a phaser. Phaser. Let's preview it. So it kind of switches it between my left side and my right side. You can't hear it right now, but I'll keep this one. So this is my noise, and I want to export it. So I'm going to go File, Export, right? And now, if you notice, there's an MP3 type file. You can download a plugin for that. It doesn't give you MP3 from the get-go. But I want to target my my new project, my Unity project. So let's go to Desktop, where I have my project. And I'm going to go to Unity projects. And I know that it's inside my Mail Pilot Demo Section 1. And I'm going to go into my assets inside my audio. I'm going to call this end game, right? So it's the ending game sound, whatever. And I'm going to just save it here. So it asked me for what this thing called. So it's for me. I'm going to make a track. So I'm going to call this end game sound. And it's for the album is for this Mail Pilot demo, right? And it's 2015. I made another one, obviously, right? And it's type of arcade, 2D arcade game. Let's add that in. So 2D arcade game, and I'm going to press OK. There we go. So it's saved, and then I'll kind of close this off. I won't save my changes. Hopefully everything went through. And let's take a look at Unity. Now, if I go to audio, I have my end game sound. Here it is. Let me check it in Unity to see how it sounds, right? Right, there it is. Okay, good. So I've got my sound. I want to attach it to my game over controller. So when I hit my game over, I want to have a new component. First of all, actually, before I do this, let me upload to GitHub for you guys. So I'm going to save my scene. I'm going to go to GitHub. I'm going to go git add dot, and I'll go git commit -m added game over sound, let's say, and git push origin master. So you have that sound. Okay, so there it is. Go on up on GitHub, and the sound is there now. So download it from there. Okay, so you don't have to make it. It would be pretty annoying if all of us made it, right, all at the same time. Download Audacity, right? That's kind of crazy. So just use the one I just gave you. Okay, cool. So I want to make it so that when I get to my game over scene, you hear that sound. Whatever. Okay, how do I do that? I go to my game over controller, and I add a component, and I want to add a audio source. There's my audio source component. And under there, I want to define my audio clip. So I'm going to take my end game clip that I just made and can put it on top, drag and drop it on top of my audio source, my audio clip. Good, there's my end game clip now. Okay, cool. So I've got my, I want it to play on awake, but I don't want it to loop, right? So there's no loop. Otherwise you'll hear that over and over again forever. Right? That would be bad. Okay, cool. Let's play the game and just play this scene and see how it sounds. And restart. Okay, so that's what you're going to hear when you restart the scene, right? So when your game over comes, right? All right, cool. We've got our game over scene, right? But we need to attach our game over scene. So when in a condition, so when we hit 0, when the score is 0, we get to that scene. That's what has to happen. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to save everything in this scene, and I'm going to go to the next, back to the main scene. So here's my main scene. I'm going to double click on my main scene to get there. Here's my score and my lives. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that. And I want to change my, I have my script here in my player collider script. Here's my player collider. I have a script here that checks to see if I collided with my island or my cloud. Okay, cool. Well, how about when I collide with my cloud, and if my lives, this dot lives, is less than or equal to 0, right? Then I want to end the game, right? So I need another little method, right? I'll just call this void, and we'll make it private because we don't really need to share this one. So we'll say private methods. I have another one up there. I move the score update is private as well, right? I could probably move this one down, but for now, let's just leave it there for a second and say private, and we'll call it underscore. Oops. Private void underscore end game, right? That's what it does. So end the game. That's my method. And inside my method endgame, I want to do the same thing. I want to say application dot load level, right? So we've learned that new one. And I want to go to game over. That's what I called it. I got to spell it right. There we go. Application load level game over. All right, so that's going to destroy this scene and go to the next scene. But I got to call this if my lives are less than or equal to 0. So let's do that. So if this dot underscore lives are less than or equal to 0, then what am I going to do? I'm going to call my endgame function, right? So I'm going to say this dot underscore endgame. And so that's what I'm doing there. So I'm ending the game when my lives are less than or equal to 0. Very, very simple. Okay, and I'll just say that. So end the game when lives are less than or equal to 0. That's nice and easy, right? Okay, so we've got our script. We made some changes. Let's go to the main scene, or menu scene, I mean. So I'm going to go to my menu scene by double-clicking. And let's play the game. So here's the full game now. Almost there. We almost have the full thing going. Let's just press play and see what happens. Okay, so here's my start screen. I've got my button. I hover over it. I'm good. I start playing the game.
Yay.
Okay, I got good stuff going on. Right?
Yay.
Get some points.
Yay.
Right?
Yay.
And then I die. Right? So I go, oh man, there's a couple of clouds I collided with on purpose. And I'm over. Right? Game over. It's getting my game over. I want to play it again, so I go back to restart my game.
Yay.
Right?
Yay.
And I go over things.
Yay.
Maybe I can
Yay.
try to get some more points by cheating.
Yay.
No? Didn't work?
Yay.
And
Yay.
right, got it again. So that's kind of that's the demonstration there for that one, right? So any questions about what I did there? I used application.loadLevel. That's the main little script that we use. And we attached it to our buttons, our UI component button, that allows us to move from one screen or scene to the next. That's what we're doing. This is the fundamentals, really that's what we're doing here, of scene control. Remember, a scene is a self-contained object that includes a whole new game world. You can have a whole game in this different scene. So think about this. I have each level then could be another scene, right? Like we said. So we can build level 1, level 2, level 3. Very easy now. It's not a big deal to do that with different systems. Okay, here's a problem. I have this. So I've got my game going, and you know what? I go to my my main scene. Let me just save this one in GitHub first. I'm going to save file, save scene, file, save project, and I'm going to go in GitHub and upload these changes. So I'm going to say git add dot git commit -m added kind of game over scene. That's what I've really done. And git push origin master. Here we go. There's your stuff. You got it on GitHub now, everything I made, right? Okay, so here's my problem. I have a new problem now. My new problem is, and this, remember, I'm handling one problem at a time, just like we were talking about on the weekend, right? I always try and do one little change at a time, and when I make my change, I upload to GitHub. Why? I track my changes. I know what I did. I can always step back if I made a mistake, right? And when I'm working with somebody else, they know what what I've done, and they can go back and change or look and see what I've done. Okay, so here's my challenge. I want to know my high score, right? But didn't we just say that I blow away the previous scene? So my question to you is, how do I pass data from the first scene to the second scene without losing that data? Because now I blew that scene away. The scene is gone, right? How do I pass that data from scene to scene? Okay, so there's a couple ways we can do that, right? There's a special command I can use, right, that will prevent my scene or my object from disappearing, right? First of all, I need an object that's going to carry things forward. So I want to move my score from, if in my mind, and by the way, forgive me, I'm wrong here. I know I'm wrong because I've tried this before. So when I do this, I'm telling you I already know the answer, but here's the question. In my mind, I'm thinking about making a game object inside my main game that I'm going to make sure it doesn't disappear somehow and make it appear again in the last scene, right? So it can carry the score forward. So there's a command that I can use to stop that from happening. So first, let's create this object. So I'm going to go back to my main game scene, if you will. Here's my main game scene, and where I have my lives and my score and all that stuff, right? I want to carry this stuff forward. How do I do it? Well, let's make a new empty game object, right? So here's my new empty game object. And I'm going to call this my high score object. So let's call this high score. That's all I care about, right? My high score object. And I want to move this high score object to the next scene, right? Without being destroyed, because remember, the whole scene gets wiped out. All right, so one thing I need to do is I need to add a script to it. First, let's 0 it out. So I'm going to reset the position of the object, the empty invisible object. And now I need a new script. So I'm going to add component, new script, and I'm going to call this thing high score script. You can call it high score controller as well. It's up to you. Something. You're going to see this is wrong, so don't worry about what I'm doing here. You just watch for a second, right? Tell me if this is what's going to happen here when I do this, okay? So I've got my high score. I'm going to go to scripts. Well, first of all, I'll go to assets and move this high score script to my scripts folder. And in my scripts folder, here's my high score script. I'm going to double click, right? And here it is. Well, there's another thing that you can put in here, but I want to do this. So before my stuff is initialized, before everything happens, there's a function that I can override that's part of our regular mono behavior class. I can override this function before everything else starts, before even start happens, right? To have that happen. There's a function like that. Remember what it was? It's called awake, right? So I can use my awake function for the first time. So let's do this. Void, right? Awake, right? And inside my awake function, I want to put a script to preserve my high score, right? So here's what the script looks like. Don't destroy unload. Don't destroy this unload, it says, right? And I'm going to point to this. So I'm going to say, please don't destroy this object on load. Don't destroy this object. Okay. Why could this be bad? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so you might say, yeah, this is perfect, Tom. If you can maintain the script from screen to screen, right? You've got your answer, because I can hold all my values here, right, without having to do anything, and I can have my high score without having any file saving or loading. I don't have. The other answer is have your file, your high score saved in a file. That's the other answer, right? But that's not what we're going to do. All right, so let's check this out and see how this works, right? So I'm going to start off with my main game. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to go back to my, first I want to save everything. I'm going to go back to my scene, and I'm going to go start with my main, or my menu, sorry, here's my menu, and then let's play. So I start playing my game. Take a look at my hierarchy for a second, right? So my hierarchy, is my high score component here? No, it doesn't exist here. I'm going to click start. How about now? It's there, right? Okay, so my high score component is there, right? And it doesn't do anything. All I just have a single script that tells it not to disappear, right? And then when I go kill myself, right? It's there again. So it worked. It kind of persisted from one scene to the next. Okay, let's restart. Let's see what happens now. All right. What's my problem now? I have two of them, right? I have two high score components, right? Because the other one persisted too, right? I cloned it, but it's a perfect clone. And so I went back through time and I saw myself, and I can kill my grandfather and I'm still alive, right? That whole okay, I'm in. Let's restart again. Okay, there's a third one. I got a problem. Why is this happening? Because I'm going back to where I told Unity that I want to persist my script, right? That means that this component here, high score, does not belong in the main game screen, but rather in the menu screen, which I'm never going to go back to, right? But that poses another problem, right? For me to access and store my score in that container, high score, right, and display it afterwards, which I'm hoping to, I have to be able to refer to it somehow, right? How do I refer to it, right, when I don't have it in my scene? It's not in my scene. It's never in my scene. Not for main menu, not really. It exists in another scene, and I want to make a reference to it. I can't drag and drop it because it doesn't exist in my scene. I need to make a reference to it with code, right? And this is where the code gets really hairy. So I'm not going to show that to you tonight because it takes a bit of work to do, but that's the piece that we're going to handle next day, and then I'm going to go right into the platformer piece. Be aware, warning, that I may have a short quiz for the first half an hour of the day. where we answer like 20 to 30 questions, multiple choice on and true and false, and some matching on 3D, 2D stuff, a little bit of Unity questions, and so on, that I will put together for you for some of you. I guess we meet tomorrow, right? You guys are with me tomorrow. And for some of you who are watching, who are remote, we'll meet on Wednesday. For section 1, we'll do tomorrow, and section 2, we'll do Wednesday, a bit of a quiz. So just be aware of that that's going to be coming, right? Any questions before we depart for the day, right? So we covered a lot of stuff today, even though it sounds like we were almost done last day. I wanted to give you your UI, and you know now how to move from the rudiments or the fundamentals of moving from one scene to the next, what really a scene is in a high level sense, right? And the ability for us to understand how to use application.load level and the name of the scene, as long as we have our scene kind of earmarked in our build settings. If we don't have that, then we can't do it. And also, all along we've been using GitHub, which by next day, what I want to try and do is show you how you can do a cloud build right from GitHub, and let Unity's servers build a version for us that's online and compatible, so we can do a test anywhere in the world, right, whether we have a local build or not. Okay? Any questions around this stuff, guys? All right, so that's it for me today. Let's meet again tomorrow, and I guess our class is at 4:30 tomorrow, if I'm not wrong. Let's meet tomorrow at 4:30, and we'll do a little test, and we'll go over the stuff for Unity.